Hi there, I'm Stephanie Robin, and I'm going to take you through an application for accreditation today. So we are going to go through the process of preparing images so that you know that you're doing it correctly, because incorrectly prepared and submitted images can result in disqualification, and we don't want something like that holding you back from attaining accreditation with APNPI. So first off, in order to apply for accreditation, you will need to be a member in good standing with APNPI. You will have to hold your certificate course completion as well as the QNP certification. You'll want to be logged into the website, and for accreditation, you will start with the Start Here dropdown. So if you head on over to My Credentials here, you will see a Register for Accreditations Here button. If you've not already registered for your accreditations, you're going to want to follow that through. And you'll see that there's a couple of options here. When we look at the accreditations, of course, the most popular has always been newborn pose, followed by maternity, and so on and so on. But we do have a couple of new offerings here, and one is the submission critique. So this is a way in which you can receive feedback on your images prior to submitting. Now, if you're pretty confident and maybe there's just one image or two that you're looking at, you can also just get the accreditation image critique for one or two images. So once you do purchase your accreditations, they are going to show up back in your My Credentials section under accreditations. So you can just see down here how we have our accreditation. So for myself, I just registered myself to all of them in order to show you here. We've done a bit of testing in the back end as well. So let's enter the newborn posed accreditation. The drop down opens, and there we go. And we'll go through some of the important points for submission. So immediately you're going to see some drop downs here, and it's to your advantage to go and read these through in their entirety. Accreditation rules especially, you're going to want to make sure that any images you submit are your own, that they are from paid or portfolio building sessions, that they were not taken at workshops, classes, group outings, mentoring sessions. These will disqualify your entry even if you have already been awarded your accreditation. It can result in revoking the accreditation certificate. So do make sure that you're submitting images in which you were control of all elements, including the styling, location, the lighting, the setup, posing, etc., etc. Each image may only be entered one time. So if you've entered an image in the newborn posed category, that then disqualifies the image from any other categories. So you may not enter that image again in the accreditation process. As well, you may only enter one image per session and one image per subject, meaning the same subject cannot appear more than once within an accreditation category. So for instance, in the newborn posed category, if I've used a baby named Melissa, I cannot use that same baby named Melissa for more than one of those images. As well, if I am using images from a particular session, I can't enter another image from that session within that accreditation. So there are a few other rules you're going to want to get in there, but those are the big ones. For judging criteria, if you're interested in what the judges are looking for when they are going through your imagery, we recommend heading up the resource section of the site where you'll have some insight into what they will be looking at. Keep in mind, issues such as poor lighting, banding, digital artifacts, missed focus. We see this a lot where the focus is not in the right spot in the image, which usually will be on the eye closest to the lens or the viewer. Tonal inconsistencies. These are some of the things that can disqualify your image, or not disqualify, but result in a not accepted mark. So essentially all of the 12 images will need to be accepted in order to pass accreditation, and the judges will label your images as either not accepted or accepted. And keep in mind, we will be looking at all 12 images for cohesion as well. So you want to make sure the 12 images work well together and look nice when they're compiled together. I'll show you how you can have a quick view of that, before you submit. All right, so before we look at preparing the images for submission, I just wanted to make note that there are criteria listed for each accreditation category. They are different for each category, but they are requirements. So you will need to have images in order to meet each of the categories, and special notes that should be included are included below here. Where it asks for a close-up of the baby, we are looking for each of these requirements to be a singular image and not a collage, unless the requirement specializes that a collage has been requested. So please do enter single images. Close up of baby in this category or in any of the categories, we have seen people entering macro images for the close up of baby. It's recommended that you do select an image that is a close crop of baby's face usually. However, there is no penalty when entering the macro in place of a close up crop, as both can be done, beautifully and with a macro lens and do fit that requirement. Now, it is important to note that we do ask for straight out of camera or SOOC reference images for all setups that involve risk for the baby, including but not limited to the frog, the potato, the sling, swings, chin on the wrist and props, bum up on props, etc., etc. What we are looking for here is the behind the scenes image of your assistant supporting the baby in the poses. And so you will want to submit those along with your application. If you do happen to submit setups that are listed here or that are obviously in need of support and neglect to include those SOOC reference images, unfortunately your application can be disqualified on those grounds. All right, so we are wanting to make sure everyone's being safe, and we're providing those straight out of camera images to our judges. They are not always viewed during judging, but they are available to our judges ahead of time so that they are aware that you have been following safe practices when working with your newborns. Let's talk about submitting your images. There are a few instructions here you're going to want to follow closely. Now, you want to make sure you're submitting JPEG files, not PNG or TIFFs. All right, so your extension will either be .jpeg or .jpeg. All right, and you're going to follow the following formula for renaming files. You're going to start with the accreditation category, so that references the category up above of accreditation. So here you'll see we're in newborn posed, and as in our example, the first part of the renaming will be newborn posed, followed by an underscore. Next, you're going to reference your member number. So if you're having confusion over where to find your member number, we'd encourage you to visit your welcome page. On the welcome page, you will see that there is an area where it shows you your public profile location, and at the end there is a number. This is the number that you are going to use in your application. After this, you'll see a series of 6 numbers, and those 6 numbers refer to the submission deadline, month, and year. So for the upcoming accreditation due in May of 2019, these numbers would be as follows: 05-2019. So just adapt these to whichever round of accreditation you're in, and that would be followed by another underscore. Next, you're going to see the numbers 1 through 12, and those numbers reference the order in which the requirements show up in the application. So number 1 would correspond with the close-up of baby, number 2 being the mid-length, 3 is the full length for newborn alone, and so on, all the way until the 12th image. Now, there are a few differences here, and the one you're going to want to know is for naming your straight out of camera or SOOC files. So essentially, after the number of the image that you will be submitting the SOOC for, you simply add underscore SOOC. So judges will not be able to see any of your information regarding your identity within your renaming. And so, our judges are afforded the opportunity to back out of judging any of the applications for which they feel that they would be biased. So if they recognize a maker and have a relationship with them or have mentored them or, conduct business in the same area, these are reasons why we would ask them to recuse themselves. All right, so let's head into Bridge and we're going to actually rename some of these images. So I have a selection of images here that fit the criteria for that newborn posed category, being close-up, mid-length, full, newborn alone, parent, siblings, etc., etc. But we need to rename them for the submission. So what you can do is individually rename each one. This is tedious work. You'd have to type in every single renaming on each of the images, and this is going to take you a really long time. So instead, I'm going to encourage you to select all, and you're going to come up here to this little icon and click on Batch Rename. Now within Batch Rename, we're going to rename them in the same folder. There's no preset set to this currently. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click Text. And the text you're going to put in is your accreditation category. So newborn posed. Followed by the underscore, and then your member number. Mine was 16, and the underscore, the month and year of the deadline date. So for this submission, it would be May 2019, so 05/2019, and underscore. And now the final component of this renaming would be the numbers 1 through 12. So we're going to automate those, and we're going to just click the little plus button here. Sequence numbering is what we need to choose, and we want to have at least 2 digits so that we can accommodate the numbers 1 through 12, 12 being 10, 11, and 12 being 2-digit numbers. So let's just click rename and watch the magic. Easy peasy. All right, and now in the case that you have any SOOC images, what you would do, let's say that our number 12 is in fact an SOOC image and we need to rename this one. You can either just go in and tack in underscore SOOC. As such, this is how it would look if this was a reference image. Or you can do it in the batch setting as well by choosing the format you would like above and then just adjusting your numbers. Okay, so next we're going to look at resizing. Now resizing can be quite tricky for people, and so we do require 2 different sizes for each image, and the reasoning behind this is that we have 2 different uses for those images. So for every image that you submit, you will submit 1 high resolution file, and the length of the longest size, we're asking you to constrain that to 2800 pixels on the long side. These are the images that we're going to be using for judging purposes. And then the low resolution files should be sized under 2 megabyte. And those are simply used to generate thumbnails that end up in your back end. And that's where our transcribers will be entering the commentary from the judges. So it's a reference image to ensure that the comments are being entered onto the same image that they were judged with. So it's a nice little visual cue, and also easy for you to reference in your back end then which images you're looking at with your commentary. All right, so the quality of these ones, not as important. The quality of the ones that you're going to send in the high resolution format, very important. And we should mention that it is best if you do use the sRGB color space for your images. However, some people do enter Adobe 1998 as well. So again, let's go and have a little look at some of that. So if we're looking at an image in Photoshop, when we go to edit, you can convert profile, convert to profile here, or assign a profile. Now I'm working in the Pro Photo color space. Those of you who work in Lightroom, you're working in Melissa RGB, which is also a very large color space. And we want to change this over to a destination space of sRGB. So we're simply going to convert this profile over and ensure that all of our images are being submitted with that sRGB profile. It's as easy as that. And so let's have a look now at the resizing. So we do provide you with easy access to APNPI Accreditation resizing actions. These actions have been made to properly resize your images for both the high resolution use as well as those thumbnail uses. So if you click here, it'll bring you to a little download, and then just download these files. So these are going to end up in your downloads folder, and we're going to show you how to install them. Installing actions is actually really easy. You can either double click the actions from your download, or if that's not working for you, I'm going to show you a dead simple way to do it from within Photoshop. First of all, you're going to want to make sure that your actions palette is open. If it isn't, if you're not seeing an actions tab anywhere on this left section, go on up to your window here in the menu and ensure you have a check mark there beside actions. All right. So if you're not seeing the APNPI actions listed here, then head on over to this little hamburger drop down, and you're going to go to load actions and make sure you're on your downloads, and we do have the download available there. So let's load those in. And here you can see that there are two options for both high resolution and low resolution. Now, you can apply these here in Photoshop one by one, but again, there's an easier and quicker way to accomplish this. So back in Bridge, I'm going to show you how to use Bridge because this is what I'm used to. You can select all of your images, you can head on up to your tools, go into Photoshop and select Image Processor, and from here you're going to be able to select the action of your choice. So let's start with the high resolution action. We're going to save it in the same location as quality 12, and guess what? In this area here you can also convert to sRGB. So there's a really nice easy way to choose to convert your files over to sRGB if you would like. No additional work for you. So you're just going to click run, and we're going to run through all 12 images here, and they're all going to get nicely resized. So we'll head back on over, and now we can see that we have a folder here entitled JPEG. I am going to rename this high resolution so there is no confusion, because we need to do this process again. So we're going to select our images, head on up to Tools, Photoshop, Image Processor. This time we're going to select the low resolution files. I still have my Convert Profile to sRGB clicked, and run. So back on over in our folder, we're going to see now a second folder, and we're going to call these low resolution. If we head into our high resolution folder, and we can select any one of these images, and let's have a look here, and yep, our image size will be 2800 pixels on the longest side. Fantastic. So let's go and have a look back in that low resolution folder, and our images. We're going to pick the square because this one is, you know, probably going to be the biggest. Have a look, and in our image size we're at 1.93, so under 2. Fantastic. Now I should mention this is one way in which to view all 12 images together to ensure that you have cohesion in the images that you are submitting. But if you're interested in seeing the way that the judges will view the images, you will require Lightroom. So let's have a look here. If you head into Lightroom and you import the images from your folder, so let's have a look. We're going to import all. And now simply select all of the images and hit the letter N. This is in fact how the judges will view the images within Lightroom. So if you'd like to see the images as they will be laid out for the judges as they're looking at their overall submissions, this is how you can view them in Lightroom to see, you know, the same thing the judges are going to see. And simply, you know, these sidebars, you're just gonna, you know, have those sidebars taken out, and that's going to help you to view in the same way that the judges would. All right, next we will be looking at the uploading process since these images are ready. So you'll be uploading your high resolution files to the link provided below and your low resolution files into the form directly. So let's head on over and have a look here. We have a high resolution file submission button, and when we click here, this should bring us on over to the high resolution accreditation files upload. So you're simply going to choose from your computer at this point. So I'm going to go into my accreditation folder. I'm going to go to my high resolution files, select all 12 plus any SOOC files you have and open that up and click on upload. And those images will now be uploading into Dropbox. Then within the form itself, I will upload my low resolution files. So let's locate my folder. I'll go to the low resolution files and select file number 1, file number 2, and I'm going to work my way all the way through all 12. And any SOOC files will go into this area. At this point, it is important that you save your images. So you're going to click here to save those images. Your submission was successfully updated. Perfect. So let's have a look here and check on the Dropbox. Thanks, you're all done. Great. All right, we're done with the Dropbox upload. So at this point, I'm going to answer a couple of questions. All right, my files are named accordingly. Yes, they are. Low resolution images have been uploaded and saved via the Save Images prompt right there. Yes, they have. Large resolution images have been uploaded to Dropbox. Absolutely. I understand that after I click submit, I will also need to click mark as complete. Failure to do so will result in disqualification from this round of accreditations. All right, so yes, that is our next point. We will need to update this form now. Perfect, and let's see what happens. Great. Your responses were successfully updated. Please remember to mark as completed below in order to submit your application to the review process. So, fantastic. Now we will need to mark the entire unit as complete. Our results will be released approximately 8 weeks after the submission deadline. So that applies for every accreditation. If you count 8 weeks forward of the submission deadline, that's the approximate date for the release of your results. So we're looking again, we've done everything. We've uploaded, we've renamed, we've resized accordingly, and now we're going to mark this as complete. And voila, as easy as that, you have submitted for accreditation. Your application has now been submitted. Results will be released in approximately 8 weeks. I hope that helps for those of you who had questions on either the renaming or uploading of images. Please feel free to reach out if you have any other additional questions ahead of the submission deadline date. You can reach Gwen, our imaging program coordinator, at Gwen, Gwen, at apnpi.com. For general questions about other programs and submission deadlines, you can either visit your welcome page for deadline dates in the side news bar, which I'll show you here, or you can contact us at info@apnpi for any other questions. So here you'll see your upcoming deadlines for accreditation as well as the image competition. So anytime you need those dates, they're listed right there. We hope this has been helpful for you, and we wish you the best of luck with your submissions.